He threw that patch on, make it look like he was in a club, but he was never in a club.
They want to be able to tack like 15 felonies upon jaywalking across the street. This outlaw motorcycle member and it doesn't matter what they stack on you.
Because they're a friend or they know somebody and they start hanging them around and making them an official hang around. And they're prospecting. Before you know it, they got a patch. And I'm going, you've never been in a club.
His dad was a bandito. He borrowed $100 from the club. It might have been 1,000. I don't know. But his own son was 86.
I think it was from that point on, I was like, one day, I'm going to be one of those guys.
And he said, if you don't get on a stand, you're going to lose. You're going to jail. I said, I can't take the stand.
Welcome to this episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Keri Vandiver.
Hey.
What's up, Keri? How you doing?
Hey, Bill. How you doing? I'm good. Hanging in there. How have you been?
I'm doing great. Things are good.
Good. That's good to hear.
People really enjoy the motorcycle type content. Have you been seeing it lately?
I have. I covered a little bit of what was going on allegedly in the Venezuelan gang in Colorado.
Yeah, you were one of the only people that have sense.
There was a couple others I got to give credit to out there, and I stitched their videos really because it was refreshing to see people actually live outside of the Sons of Anarchy seasons. So
it's crazy what people think, that they were really the Mongols and the Hells Angels are coming to save the day.
I know. We're going to all ride out to Colorado as if there isn't HA in Colorado and like there. Why wouldn't they? So it was kind of like people are just, that's how you could tell that reality is set out of people's minds with all these shows, Yellowstone. My old boss, he'd give like speeches in the beginning before the shift started, and he'd refer to all kind of Yellowstone episodes, and we're like, dude,
quoting it.
Yeah, really. I'm like, okay, people have just lost touch with reality. So that whole Hells Angels thing right now, it's not reality. So
yeah, they're gonna go with all their enemies. They're gonna band together against some Venezuelan gang.
Just all out bloodshed. And the police are just okay with that. Like, I really thought of what possibly, because I heard that somebody got in touch with the police station and called the police and were like, oh, the bang down doors, automatic weapons, blah, 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 blah. And the cop is just like, well, it's squatters' rights. And I'm just like, so squatters' rights is banging down doors with automatic weapons? I thought you just get mail there for 30 days and they anteed it up. So what? The cop was just like, yeah, no, there's nothing we could do.
Sounds like home invasion to me.
Make me some food.
Sounds like home invasion.
It sounds like bullshit is what it sounds like, if I could say that.
I mean, I think there's miscommunication everywhere.
It really is. Social media is, I really give credit to social media, especially TikTok, because it can be very informative. But at the same time, if you're not a person that has like common sense and can like decipher what's bullshit and what's not, doing your own research and shit, it could become I don't even know what's the word to look for, like to say. It could just become something that's not reality, and you start it like with people with mental health issues, they see something and they run with it, so
it's kind of like the undercover playing biker, right?
Yeah. Ken Choke. Yeah.
Croak. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Croak.
Ken Croke. Slam as they called him. Yeah, he's a funny guy. Him and the publisher. The publisher is pretty funny too,
Dave Weds. I offered Dave Weds to come on the show and have a conversation with you, and I was denied.
Yeah, I saw, and that's okay, because from a business standpoint, I guess it might be making them some money, and he might have signed an NDA or NDO, whatever it's called, and he might not be able to speak to me. So, but what I do know is that I'm not going to say who, but somebody that is also mentioned in the book received $10,000 and that part taken out of the book. And so my whole thing is, if my father were alive, number one, he'd be able to defend himself in those lies and embellishments. And two, he'd be able to sue, because that's defamation of his character. Now, for me, as his daughter, with him being passed away, defamation of character still plays a part for me because it's my father. He was still a character to me. He was still a person that I valued and I loved, you know, and he has a family and a heart and a soul, and he's not a monster. So, but from what I'm being told, unfortunately, there may be nothing that I can do, being that he's passed away, and I need to be careful with statute of limitations. So, you know, really, I don't know what else to do about that situation. Honestly, it's a
terrible.
Shame.
It's terrible. They can talk about people like that.
It is, because at the end of the day, if they were really wanting to make a difference, what's the point of profiting off of it? Like, you did your job. So, I mean, what's next? A movie, a series? And I just get to sit here and watch it? Like, you paint my father to be some kind of beast, monster, murderous, you know, bloodthirsty criminal. Like, that's not. Half of these guys own construction companies, and, you know, they're people too.
They're family men. They have families. Yeah. They have jobs. They have.
Honestly, they have lives, you know. I mean, there are some scumbags out there, but listen, there's scumbags out there that are not even gang related at all.
The scumbags that are cops.
Yeah, exactly.
Ken Croke's one of them. Look at Ken Croke.
Exactly. So, you know, it is what it is. I've seen what I've seen with my own eyes. I know what I know. And unfortunately, my father's passed away. So.
Yeah, but so we can talk about what you've seen with your own eyes, which what the detective Ken Croke was doing, which he denies all this stuff.
Of course. Well, not only denies it, but I mean, as far as, like, you know, the things that he had to cover up during his Operation Takedown, whatever he called it, you know, he claims to be pretending to, can I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, he pretends to sniff cocaine. And I'm just thinking, and when I heard that in the book, I'm like, he keeps saying cocaine. It's not cocaine. It was meth.
Like, he puts his hand like this, right?
Yeah, but he didn't even, yeah, that's what he says he did, but he didn't do it like that. Not from what I've seen. And it damn straight went up his nose. He didn't pretend anything. You know, and then as far as him having a wife and a family and he misses them and everything else, well, he didn't miss them when he was in my cousin's bathroom banging some whores.
Did he pretend to have sex with them too?
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was there. Like, mind blown, you know? So I know what it is, and he just paints himself to be this, like, heroic guy from Boston, you know, and he's this, you know, big tough guy, and he's just a coward, honestly.
Let's talk about how these guys got their names, because they all have crazy names that are.
They've always had crazy names.
Yeah, they're like cartoon character names.
Yeah, that's funny.
Conan, my dad, Barbarian, right? Conan, it's a cartoon.
Conan, yeah. Well, yeah, there's also, you know, the myth behind that too. You know, Conan was supposed to be a what, like a god or something like that, or a Viking or something, right?
Yeah.
So there's definitely a meaning behind that one. But I mean, my dad at one point wanted to change his name after being Hogman for like 30 something years.
How do you get that name?
Hogman? Oh, man, that's one story I don't think my father ever told me. I really don't know. I know that when we were younger, he did have a potbelly pig follow him all night. That motherfucker would not leave my dad alone. Like, he was just stuck to my dad's hip. So, but I think he had that name before that, so I wouldn't know. But he did want to change it to Lunchbox. And I'm like, Dad, you completely have really lost the last screw that's tight in there, for real. Because what?
Lunchbox.
You know, and then they called my Uncle Jason, they called him Roadblock. And I don't know if anybody knows why, but it's because I actually have the picture right here in my drawer. He was sitting at the table of a restaurant trying to finish off the steak. Like, you know, those steak competitions that they have.
Yeah.
He didn't finish it in time or whatever the case may be, but you know, it was a huge steak and he did finish most of it from what I believe. So they called him Roadblock because of that, from what I was told.
Why? It doesn't even correlate. Wow.
Because he's a big guy and he blocks the road. I don't know. I want to see if I can see the picture right. If it's right here, then I'll get it. But I mean, yeah, no, they completely and utterly just, he was huge guy. No, it's not right here, so I'm not gonna do that. All right. Yeah, so
there was other guys. What were their other names?
Taco.
Why'd they call him that?
You know, I don't even know. I don't know. I like, these are questions, these type of questions right here. I wouldn't know, like, people. So from what I know, your name gets chosen from how they see you, your personality, what you may like, what you may embellish that you like. So it may very well be possible that Taco was Spanish. So they gave him the name Taco because tacos are a Spanish food, maybe, you know? So, God, I have a mind fuck right now. I really couldn't tell you all these names.
Ken's name was Slam, right?
Oh, yes.
Ken's and you were there the day he got that name, weren't you? Or did you hear about it?
I was around, no, because I was staying with my cousin where they always went back to after the bullshit. Because she was dating a pagan too. And so I'd be at the house sometimes and be there, you know, I'd be in and out. But sometimes I'd be there to catch the back end of the drama. So I wasn't there when he did it, but I was at my cousin's house and heard all the ruckus and, you know, like the aftermath stories and shit. But from what I know, he willingly slammed that guy on his neck and enjoyed it. And like, not saying that, you know, I don't want to say he enjoyed it, but he did it with no hesitation. So call that good at your job or really something that maybe you wanted to do and get away with.
He broke his neck too, right?
From what I heard, yeah. From what I heard, he broke his neck.
And he's a cop playing undercover biker.
Mm-hmm.
It breaks a guy's neck.
Mm-hmm.
And he adopts the name Slam.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, crazy, right?
Insane what they let him do.
Yeah, it is. It is. It is. It's crazy. This whole thing is just, you know, different. It's not even the same as it used to be, unfortunately. So, you know, I try to pick and choose the things that I say about anything because, you know, you never know how somebody feels. There's a lot of people that are sensitive and, you know, because I'm a woman, you know, I'm not supposed to, you know, talk about certain things, but whatever.
You get a lot of pushback on TikTok sometimes, right?
I do, yeah. And the only reason why I've, you know, put a pause on that content is for a loved one, you know, who they have a conversation with, a heated conversation with, I'll just say. And so, out of honor of that person, I will pause the content until, you know, that person is rather old and health-wise not doing so well. So I can only imagine. So once unfortunately that person passes away, I will continue some content respectfully, you know, because at the end of the day, I do have love for the 16. You know, my dad did dedicate the rest of his life to them, you know, and kind of put me on the back burner, which sucks. But that's what happens when you commit yourself to a brotherhood or a collective. So, you know, unfortunately, they don't agree with women talking about certain things about their club, and I'm going to respect that. So when I do come back with the content, I am going to be a little bit more cautious about the things I'm not supposed to be talking about, I guess.
I mean, you really don't talk about club business and things like that.
Well, that's my whole point too. You know, I'm not going to sit here and argue with a 16 member, you know, about their own shit. But what I will say is that I'm a woman, and it's not like I go to their clubhouse and I go to their meetings and church and whatever the fuck they call it, you know, and, you know, respectfully, I'm just like, I don't know their business. I don't know what they got going on. I don't know their rules. However, there is somebody on TikTok releasing videotapes of Lou Dokins' voice talking about why this and why the cut and why this patch and why that patch. Like, those are things my father prided on keeping secret. So I'm a little confused as to how, even though he's a man, like, number one, is he even a patched in member? And number two, I just don't understand how, you know, he's got a whole Facebook page now and doesn't seem like he's too knowledgeable on certain people, posting up people's pictures that might not. My uncle didn't even know his photo was put up on social media. He doesn't do social media. He looks at it and is confused. I'm lucky if he knows even how to text me back, you know?
Yeah.
So for him to know that there's a picture of him on the internet is just like, oh, wow. Okay. So, you know, whoever that guy is. So my content is nowhere near, you know, anything like that. And I would never, as we in the gang community call it, putting shit on wax. We won't do shit like that. Like, I'm not going to sit here and put my oath on fucking camera and let everybody know, hey, this is what it is and this is what it's for.
You're not explaining the bylaws for people that don't know. Who is Lou Dokins?
Oh God. So this is one of the reasons why that heated conversation took place with my loved one, is because, you know, I thought this person was the founder and it wasn't. So to my knowledge, don't quote me, but as far as I know, emphasis on I know, possibly, is the founder of the Pagans, from what I know, you know, and from what this guy is telling everybody he is. So if that's facts, then, you know, that's facts. Lou Dokins is the founder of the Pagans MC.
And he left a long time ago.
Left or passed away. I also don't know that.
In those tapes, I think in those tapes, they said he left the motorcycle club. It was going in a different direction. It sounds like Sons of Anarchy, like those tapes and shit.
Well, that's just the thing. And that's what correlates with the whole Colorado situation, is that there's so many people engaged in the Sons of Anarchy because, I don't know if you know this, but it's a well-known fact, you probably do, that there was a Hells Angels member or ex-member, whatever, that gave intel to Kurt Sutter for the show and also acted in the show as well.
Yeah, there was members there. Sonny Barger was in the show.
Exactly. So that is also why people are so enthusiastic about, like, this one guy. Oh my God, I stitched his video. And although he's he makes good content, he's a good advocate for situations that really do take place, people just went for the gun. Like, he just was so enthusiastic and so proud, like a proud American. Yeah. You know, and I'm just like, fuck, this guy's making an ass out of himself right now. And it's all because, I mean, even myself, I got engulfed with Sons of Anarchy, you know, and I still love it. I've watched the all seasons twice. I promise you, I love it. But my dad did tell me that he hated the show because it depicted the Hells Angels. And my uncle made a good point. He's like, listen, they do more fucking shit and crime in one episode than I've done in my whole career as a fucking pagan. And he's like fucking 70 something years old. Like, you know, so the whole embellishment of the whole thing, like, I'm just like, you know, at this point, people are so out of touch with reality because of social media. Just, you know.
Do you think the Pagans get a bad rap?
Honesty? Well, first of all, to be an outlaw is to live outside of the law. That's outside of the law, right? So to be an outlaw is to be frowned upon anyways, right?
Yeah.
But you got to think about it from a person that doesn't wear the badge or isn't sitting behind a gavel. and we're just regular people living 9-to-5s, or, you know, some of us are addicts, some of us are prostitutes, some of us have been through a lot of shit, you know what I'm saying? And we're just regular people. It's kind of like, some of these guys are heroes. Now, I seen a video a few days ago on TikTok where this woman, this mother, was teaching her young daughter and said, listen, if you ever get lost, the first person I want you to go to is a big, scary biker, you know, because he will bring you to me and he will keep you safe. And that's one thing I can say about bikers as a misconception, is that 99% of them is not scared to protect someone, not scared to put their life on the line for a complete stranger that's in danger right in front of them. Now, they're not going to get involved if they get a phone call for domestic violence. Motherfucker, you take care of that yourself. You know, I ain't getting involved in that shit. But let something go down in front of their face and they're not scared to stand on their business. So I believe there is a misconception on bikers as far as that's concerned. Yeah.
So do you think your father put a lot of effort towards the club and like towards the end of his life? Do you think the club went first and family went second?
Well, after my mother passed away, my father kind of definitely gave up. So he committed 1,000% of himself to the club. I was definitely in my stage where me and him had unresolved issues. You know, as much as I loved him and still do, we had unresolved issues. And I see, I don't want to say I'm upset with the club, but because I'm not, they didn't do anything wrong, you know. But and this is why I took myself out of that group on Facebook, because, you know, the guy's name got mentioned. And I don't know if I should say his name or not, but he was in prison with my dad, and my dad sat with him. You know, he was one of the only Black members of a Black chapter of the Pagans a long time ago. And he's Black, you know, and a white supremacist decided to fight my father, you know, over it. And the guy somehow took my dad's eye out and broke his jaw in 2 places. And the Black Pagan ran. He ran and he left my dad for dead. And so his name was brought up in the group, and it really stabbed me in the heart, because I'm like, people really look at this guy still as a patched in member.
Is he one? Still?
I don't know. I've talked to a couple of people, and I haven't actually asked the question. You know, I could ask my uncle, but at the same time, I don't want to. My uncle's old. You know, I don't want to put him through anything. He's been through enough.
Yeah.
So I'd rather just let it lay where it lays. My father's passed away, and what's done is done type. But it does hurt that, you know, people don't know what that guy did to my dad, you know? So it's hard. It's hard. But I had to let that guy know. You know what I'm saying? I posted what I posted, and I don't give a fuck. I'm unapologetic about it, because that's my father. You know what I'm saying? So I'm the one who carries his last name. And, you know, I had to let the guy know who he mentioned and who that guy is. And he didn't like that. So he suspended my account temporarily.
So the guy who ran and left your dad, he was in this group?
No. He was mentioned in the group.
So the person who runs the group got mad. He
got upset at the things that I commented, because I was very respectful at first, and then my comment got deleted. So I said, oh, okay. So I expected him to come in my inbox and ask me at least what's going on, you know? And so with that being said, because he didn't, I got fucking pissed. And with my temper, I did say a few things that unapologetically were said. And so instead of responding to me or coming in my inbox, he temporarily suspended my account. So I took that as, you're trying to silence me. And I, being me, I won't be silenced. So I left the group. Fuck your temporary suspension. I'm the fuck out. This group shouldn't even be anyways.
Yeah.
So, you know, that is frustrating, you know, and again, if my father was alive, he wouldn't let none of that slide either, and I know that.
When your father gets out of prison, what was it like? Can you walk me through it when he gets out and you're reconnect with him?
Well, first of all, me and my dad would periodically speak to each other. There'd be a lot of times where I didn't answer the phone, and again, that stems from our unresolved stuff. But when we called and we spoke to each other, a couple years before the end of his bid, he'd be like doing laps around the building and working out, playing basketball with the fellas, and he still had diabetes and things like that, but things weren't nearly as bad as after that fight. So after the fight, they threw him in the hole for about 8-9 months with like basic medical care. And so that was horrible. And so he was like that for a while before he came home. And then when he came home, he was unrecognizable. And I felt like I was hugging a stranger, My uncle and his wife drove out to go get him. And, I anticipated his arrival. I knew he was going to come to my house, even though he was paroled to my foster mother's house. I knew he was going to come to me because I'm the most familiar thing, close to my mother as he can get,
Yeah.
So I expected him, and I didn't expect to see him like that, though. So I didn't want to make it obvious that I was in shock. So I kind of just hugged him and was like, fuck in my head, I'm just like, what the fuck,
What, he lose a lot of weight?
No, he the opposite. He gained a lot of weight because remember they had him in the hole and then he was immobile. He couldn't really, he was bound to a wheelchair type shit most of the time. So he winded up just eating whatever he can get his hands on in jail because, he's a big back. And he came home, gained a whole lot of weight, and he could barely walk up 2 steps, not because of his weight, but because of his health. He was very weak. Unfortunately, I thought that he was exaggerating. But after he passed away, he left me everything. And so when I didn't even finish yet, and it's been a few years since he's passed away. His medical records were so thick that I couldn't even get through it all still. And it's been a few years. So he just was not exaggerating. He really did feel all that pain he was moaning about. So he just was not in a good space mentally. He was definitely not in good physical condition. And 92 days later, he passed away.
So you got to spend like 3 months with him.
On and off, yeah, because unfortunately, I ignored him at the end. I didn't know that he was gonna go. He kind of just committed. He asked. I guess when you get a certain age and your bodily functions start running, shutting down, they give you the option to take yourself out. And so he could have lived a few more years, but I don't know if it was because I was ignoring him or he just was going to go anyways, whether I was talking to him or not. He just was like, yup, take me out, and he didn't tell anybody, So, we went to go see him in the hospital, and then me and my Uncle Trucker were going to go up there the next morning and talk to him. We knew it was going to be one of our last talks with him, but I didn't expect him to show up at my door and say, we got to go pick up your dad's stuff because he's passed on. I was expecting to go talk to him one more time. So, that sucks. So it wasn't such a pleasant ending for him. You know what I mean?
How much time did your dad do because he did the time for the club, right? Initially,
he was sentenced to 10 years. He had a really good lawyer. Shout out to Russo. He's awesome. Love him. He's like family. And then funny story, he does not like chicken on the bone. He refuses to eat chicken on the bone. And that's probably where I got it. I don't like it either. So, they had that for dinner at mess hall. And so my dad threw it in the garbage. So the CO told him to go get it out of the garbage and eat it. So my dad was very nonchalantly like, okay, no problem. And he goes to get the chicken. He takes the chicken out, brings it over near the CO and slaps the CO in the face with the chicken. So he got 2 years for assault on a correctional officer. So he served 12 years total.
For a piece of chicken.
For a piece of no, not for a piece of chicken because he assaulted the guy with the chicken.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so 12 years total.
That's a long time.
It is a very long time. Yeah.
And it all stemmed from this operation Take Down the Pagans, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
What was his original charges? Do you remember?
Well, as far as I know, it was all a RICO. So, some of my father's charges were like drug charges, attempted unaliving murder, a few of those, conspiracy, extortion, I mean, all that stuff. So I guess a RICO would mean that one charge, all charge, so.
And there was a lot of people in that indictment, right?
Oh, yeah. There was people from out of town, out of state.
Did they all get a lot of time?
All but the people that, that folded. Yeah. 10 years plus, as far as I know.
And the rest get to walk away?
Yeah. Yeah. Hell yeah. Actually, it's funny because JR, John Ebling, he was one of the ones that folded, he told, and so he was released. I actually ran into his son at an event that my fiance does music, so we go to shows, and his son is actually there, and he's like, "Oh, you don't remember me, as kids?" And I'm like, no, but I did wind up remembering him after some stories, and that was his son. So he doesn't fuck with his dad. He doesn't talk to him. He doesn't like him. They don't get along. So he doesn't know where he is, whatever,
It's protection program, probably.
Who knows after all this time, I mean, look at Henry Hill, he just died of what, old age, health issues.
Yeah, he died a while ago.
You know what I mean? So like, who knows? Who even knows? I don't know.
So now, did your dad still have his patch when he went into prison?
Oh, absolutely.
So when he got out, did he get his original patch back?
Oh, you mean like physically by the police?
No, like, did they take his patch when he got arrested?
So the patch would be on the cut. And
yeah.
So yes, they took his cut.
So they take it and keep it.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did not know that. I thought.
As far as I know, that's what they did to my dad. That's what I know.
Now, when he gets out, is he still involved?
Oh, yeah. Like, as far as like his parole and stuff is concerned, you mean? Or like club wise?
I mean, like, so. Like club wise, so he gets out of prison. Does he get a new patch? Does he get is he still involved with the club? Still involved with going to meetings and meeting these people?
Mm-hmm. So my dad was only home for 92 days. So his main focus was to get reacquainted with his grandkids, and try to salvage any kind of relationship that me and him can try to build. And so one thing I could say that he really, really in his heart of hearts wanted to do. But his soul is always tied with the Pagans. And if he had to go to a meeting, and he would have pulled up in his wheelchair, half dead, can't breathe, oxygen tank, like Piney, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just like that. He would have, but nobody asked him to. I'm pretty sure that people kind of knew, his physical state, and he just got home type thing. Now, did he communicate with the club? That I don't know. I think most likely, but I don't, he wouldn't have told me that.
Him doing all that time and being related to the club, did they take care of him while he was in prison?
Oh, yes. Yes. So that's one thing I can say too, is that when my father passed away, and like I said before, I got all his stuff, I would see Christmas cards in there signed by all the Pagans and letters. And, I know that they sent my father money and things like that. So they definitely took care of my dad. And that's something that he did tell me. So yeah, for sure. Sent him pictures.
That's awesome, because a lot of times certain people just get left in the wind when they go to prison.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. But no, that wasn't the situation with my dad in the club. The club really was there for him.
So after he passes away, what happens then? Like, are you trying to figure a way how to get them buried, or how does that all transpire?
Well, I did make a little bit of a fuss about it, you know, because of the way my dad went out, you know, in that fight that he got into over that member that ran off on him. So I felt like they owed my father to at least contribute to his burial. And so as far as I know, they were a little bitchy about it, but not Conan. I believe Conan was just like, just give him the fucking money. You know, he was a brother, give him the money and let's take care of it, you know. So not only did they contribute, you know, the Catholic Charities contributed, a lot of people pulled together, and you know, me and my friend at the time, before her son unalived my aunt, she contributed. We did a GoFundMe.
Wait. Her son unalived your aunt.
Yeah. So did you not like see my Facebook post or something? Maybe you were filming.
Yeah,
Hollywood.
You
went Hollywood on me. Yeah, that's what it is.
No. So
All
what
right.
happened? Oh my
So
God, that's insane.
Yeah, no, it gets crazy, Bill. Okay, so I take my daughter to dance class. I come home and, you know, I'm running off Wi-Fi right now. And so when I get home and my Wi-Fi starts pinging, you know, I start getting messages, and it's messages from people that are actually Roadblock's family. This is how that connects. I'm not blood related to them in Vermont. He is. But my aunt, their baby sister, my dad's baby sister, moved up there and has been staying there for like 20 plus years, right? So moving forward, I get home and I thought it was my sister. Maybe she overdosed. I don't know. Maybe she, you know, did something crazy to herself. I don't know. Come to find out that I called my cousin Crystal, and she's like, Keri, Aunt Paul and Uncle Steve were both murdered tonight. And Bill, you know, I expected them to go from, like, you know, my uncle had Parkinson's. My aunt was very sick too. You know, she had major stuff going on. So I figured if anything, they'd die of some kind of health related issue. So we're trying to, like, after the initial shock, I call my cousin, I call my little cousins, their grandkids, and we're all like crying and, you know, going back and forth. Now, me and my best friend of 20 plus years, we had a little bit of a falling out a couple weeks before this. So we actually stopped talking a little bit. She called me and she's like, did you hear what happened? And I said, yes. But my nephew, Tyler, told me that, listen, they think that her son did this. And I said, what the fuck are you talking about? So I said, you know, to my friend, I said, well, they think that your son did it. And so me and her stayed on the phone till like 1 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out what happened. So there was a rumor going around that it was a bunch of black guys from out of town, New York, Connecticut, wherever, coming and taking over houses. And it was a bad drug deal. Mind you, my uncle and aunt are very sick. They couldn't do hardcore drugs anymore. So they had been clean for 5 years. So this was a shock to me. And I'm like, drug deal gone bad. What the fuck? I'm like, no, my aunt ain't going down. Like, even though she's been in Vermont for 20 years, she's New York, and she ain't going to let nobody come in her house and demand to take over nothing. You know what I'm saying? She'd have called my uncle, if anything. So come to find out, it was my best friend's son. He stabbed my aunt to death, and he brutally beat my uncle.
What?
Yeah, and there's some gruesome details, but nothing I want you to get flagged for. So I'll keep those details out. But very, very gruesome, very horrible. And there was, unfortunately, a neighbor, a young lady with a 9-month-old baby, witnessed the whole entire thing. And she called the police right away, you know, trying to scream at my friend's son to stop. You know, it was very, very gruesome, very brutal. My uncle lived through it all till the very end. So of course he went out painfully, which is...
Was he on drugs? The guy on drugs? Like what?
So like my brother, my friend's son, unfortunately suffers from paranoid schizophrenia. And he would say things right after the incident that, oh, you know, how are they still alive? They're not human. So I do think that, well, I don't want to say anything because there's supposed to be a trial, so I don't want to say anything crazy. But the guy does, the kid, I've known him since he's a toddler, and so unfortunately, I lost my friendship because of that. Was kind of like the topping on the cake. There was a layered cake going on there between me and her. Unfortunately, I thought that was going to be like my golden girl, and I miss her very, very much. It's heartbreaking. So I lost a lot of people.
Do you think it'll ever be salvageable, your relationship with her?
I'd like to say yes, because I was actually ready to support her, even after I found that out, because it's not like she did it, and as a mother, I'm sure that she was quite disturbed and embarrassed and upset and scared for her son. And so I would only expect for her to choose her son. And that's the kind of mother that she is. She's always going to put her kids first, wrong, right, or indifferent. Right. So I said to myself, I'm going to support her too, because she needs me too. Unfortunately, not long after that decision was made, she had said a few things, or a couple things, that offended me. And so at that point, I realized that our friendship would never be the same, because no matter what we say to each other, sometimes we're going to say things that are going to offend each other.
Yeah.
I was very close to my aunt. That was like my second mother, and to know that they went out tragically like that, is just another.
Did you know your friend through your aunt?
You can say that, because I initially moved to Vermont when I was 18.
Yeah, I remember you telling me.
Yeah, to live with my aunt. And that's when I met my best friend, was in that neighborhood. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So the son lived in the same neighborhood. Was he like the neighbor?
So my friend moved to a different state, right, with her kids, and she's been there for quite some time now. Not too far, but another state. And she had wind up putting him in a facility for people that have mental health issues, and he was doing great, as far as I know. But at the very end, he committed a violent act against a staff member, and they packed up his shit and they moved him to Vermont, right in the same town as my aunt and uncle, and by himself, and as far as I know, they tried to set up some things for him, and I don't know how that went, but apparently it didn't go very well, because he decided to do something like this, and he had the ability to do it. So there wasn't many precautions put in place for this kid. He was kind of left in the dust by the system, not so much his mother, but by the system. My feelings change. They fluctuate with my friend. It's like the devil and the angel on my shoulder,
Yeah.
So right now, no. In the future, maybe, maybe.
So does he get arrested right away?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because the post office is literally maybe like 10 feet from my aunt's apartment. And so he walked to the post office and came back and waited for the police. So when they got there, he had a weapon in his hand, and he got stuff all over him. And
yeah.
So
yeah. Now is he going to trial, or is he going to plead out?
Well, I don't know the details right now, but back when it happened, he had to be mentally evaluated and medicated, for them to find him fit to stand trial.
Yeah.
Now, my family, if this makes any sense, if you know, right? My family has no family. So, it would be hard for my nephew to take over, legal fees and coming to court, missing work. As harsh as that may sound, the kid is on his own and he has to pay his own bills. And if he misses too much work, he's going to lose his job, and so this is a lot for him to handle. Now, I'm not saying that he won't, because he might, but as far as I'm concerned, I wouldn't be upset if he didn't. Because in all reality, the kid is sick mentally and he needs help. He needs to be put away, and if they can't see that, well, he's just going to do it to someone else. It won't be my people again, but it's going to be someone else. So that's going to be that's going to be blood on their hands, you know? So if my nephew feels like he can't deal with it, you know, my sister definitely can't deal with it. That's for fucking sure. I love her and everything, but she's just not capable of dealing with all that right now. And so I don't really know where it's going. He might plead out if he has like his mom, you know, his lawyers, siblings, you know, aunts, uncles. I don't really know what's going on with that right now.
That's a wild situation.
Very, very wild.
Like insane. Can't even imagine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heart-wrenching. I physically got sick over it for weeks.
How long has that been?
I want to say this happened in April.
This year?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It should be on the news. That, like, you could probably Google like Orleans, Vermont news, like, and
Orleans?
Orleans. Yeah, like New Orleans, but it's without the new. It's just Orleans, Vermont. I could probably wind up inboxing you a link, Bill, if you want.
All right. Yeah, I'll put some picture of the news article on there or something.
Okay.
That's really sad for your nephew, right?
Yeah, both of them.
That's a really crazy situation. I'm sorry you have to deal with that.
Thanks, I appreciate it. It was very hard, you know, but as a mom, you know, you just got to push through. I mean, I just lost my little brother to an overdose not too long before that, you know, so it's like I'm kind of used to loss by now, man, but I started therapy, so we're all good.
What's in store for the future for you?
Well, actually,
you started your podcast, right?
I started
semi?
it, yes.
Yeah, semi. Right.
Semi, yeah. No, well, I guess trial and error. You know, I kind of I made a lot of financial investment into that, so I still have my equipment and all that stuff. I think mental health wise, I had to put that on pause because I know from like starting my own small business and actually what it takes to have it like ongoing and successful. It takes a lot of dedication, focus, clear. You have to have a lot of a clear mind, you know, and right now I'm just not able to give it 100%. And so I don't want to do half-ass shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. I did start therapy actually just recently. And so I may have to go the medication route. You know, I'm pushing 40 years old now and I've always been against medication. But at this point, you know, it's probably best to get some kind of stability going. So once that happens, man, Bill, I mean, the goals are endless on my sheet of paper, you know. I love Tony Robbins. Shout out to Tony Robbins. He's one of my heroes. He really saved my life. You know, he changed my life. I started forcing myself to listen to his podcast and it was amazing. It really like switched something in my brain. So I would love to be a motivational speaker. I have a lot to offer when it comes to that platform. You know, I've been through a lot of things and I think I can relate with a lot of people. So
yeah, you've overcome a lot in your life.
Right. And so a motivational speaker typically is someone who has overcome and so can help someone through that journey. So I would love to eventually do something like that. I would also love to write a book on my parents, both my father and my mother, because my mother was just predominant as my dad. In my life anyways, a lot of lives. So I'd love to write, you know, maybe even a couple of books, one about their love story, you know, one about each of them individually in their lives. That would be a very interesting book. I know a lot of people would love that. And a book about, you know, my experiences with my kids being legally kidnapped and that whole situation and domestic violence. I mean, there's so many different things that I could write about. That I think would help a lot of other people because a lot of the times books help me. Books and music really got me through a lot of things and albums, you know. So, you know, a lot of goals. Another goal of mine would be to I just keep envisioning these 2 houses. I even got the names for the houses. I want to do nonprofit houses for runaway and trafficked kids that are not connected to the government or the state, where, you know, they have to go through an intake and a process. I as a runaway myself, I always wanted to just go somewhere safe where I didn't have to answer any questions or fill out any papers or, you know, get yelled at, you know. So I just want to create a safe place for those young people, and you know, just be a safe haven for them, you know, just even temporarily, a shower, a hot meal, some advice, you know, some resources, you know, job help, stuff like that.
Yeah, it can help a lot.
Oh, I think so. Yeah.
Have you dealt with any of the migrant situation in your neighborhood?
The what situation?
The migrants, the illegals.
And so here's the thing with that, Bill. So I keep seeing videos about even people in New York, like, oh, they're on the FDR and, you know, they're on the side of the road. I even see videos of them on the side of the road. But here, we've always seen them on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what's changed. Like, they're on the side of the road. They jump in the trucks and they go make their money, mind their business, have their cervezas, and they just, you know, we don't have a problem here. We don't have an issue with any Venezuelans, Colombians, Mexicanos, Dominicanos, none of that. We love everyone and we hate everyone equally here. So there's nothing going on. Like,
I've seen videos where Venezuelans are fighting the Mexicans that are at Home Depot waiting for jobs.
Well, I can't be surprised. They fight over jobs all the time.
They're
you know,
taking
like,
our jobs. Well, now you know what it feels like, right?
I mean, in all reality, yeah. So, so I don't see any of that going on here, though. No.
They start grabbing ducks out of the park, then you got a problem, right?
Oh, I've seen a video where this guy had a duck and this lady was like, wait, what are you doing with the duck? It's a baby.
Yeah, she grabbed it back, right?
She did. I was like, yeah, stand on business. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I love that for the ducks.
I seen that duck too, that video. It was funny.
It was hilarious, yeah. Like,
what
was he doing with the duck, though? Like, what?
Probably eat it.
If you're in America, there's plenty of food here. Like, you know,
you don't need to do that.
You don't.
Go to the next dumpster. You can find plenty of donuts or whatever.
Wendy's has a 4 for $4, man. You know, like, ducks ain't it, man. Let them go.
Well, I got a lot of messages to have you on again, and people are going to enjoy this one. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I always love coming on the Bill Staxx show and chatting with Staxx.
You already know.
Yeah,
Is
buddy.
there anyone else you want to give a shout out to before we go?
I want to shout out Bag Talk, really doing their thing out there in Long Island. Well, out here in Long Island, you know, music-wise. Shout out Money Making Quinn, Chuck Dollars, and the whole Bag Talk crew. You know, shout out to all my loved ones who support me. Go follow me on Facebook. My Facebook is going crazy. I'm monetizing. You know, as long as, and that's another thing too. You guys have nothing to do. You're sitting on your asses. Go to Facebook, man. They're giving out opportunities like it's nothing. I made $9 in 2 minutes. You just got to be consistent. Sometimes it gets overstimulating, but that's when you put your phone down, you put on a show, eat some food, relax, you know, and then you get back to it. Yeah. So follow me on Facebook. Yep. Definitely go follow me on Facebook.
Definitely. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
For sure. Thanks a lot, Bill.
If you like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like the show, too bad, start your own podcast.